You're listening to the Sports Scramble podcast, where four friends serve up a weekly plate of sports with a side of SEC bias. Now, here are your hosts, Chet, Jacob, Wade, and Tyler.
Let's go!
Welcome in, everybody, to this week's episode of the Sports Scramble podcast. I got myself, Tyler, and we got special guest NASCAR Neil filling in for the two regulars who could not be with us tonight. Neil, how you doing?
Doing great, guys. I appreciate you guys. You asked me to join us.
Yeah, I appreciate you. Appreciate you joining on short notice. We knew Wade was going to be out. He's got his big volleyball match. The volleyball season has started back up in Baton Rouge. Jacob, last second golf meeting. So hey, you got to do what you got to do when you're the coach. So, but we've got a good action-packed show. We've got some playoff stuff from NBA, the NHL that we were talking about a little bit before the show. Of course, we got a little bit of football news. Let's start with that. Did y'all watch the Tom Brady roast? Did you catch that on Netflix?
I watched a little bit of highlights, but once you said on Cameron Street that it was 3 hours, I was like, no, I just don't have any time to watch this. But yeah, there's some good jokes, specifically to Aaron Hernandez. They just went full-on RKO mode on that guy. So yeah, it was definitely must-watch. I got to give credit to Kevin Hart for putting that event on, and Kim Kardashian getting absolutely booed. So yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Neil, did you catch it on Sunday?
I started most of it this afternoon during work. I was like, I'm going to pop it on while I'm working. I think I have like 20 minutes left of it. So like, I'm at where Affleck's on there. That new Manny comes on at the end. I thought it was hilarious. I would say Tony Hinchcliffe and Nikki Glazer, by far, their sets were amazing. I mean, Glazer coming on early and coming out of her usual style of joking, I was like, okay. And then Tony from Kill Tony. I don't really watch that, but I found him funny at times. I was like,
he
man,
was unhinged, dude. I was like, this guy. Which honestly, credit to Netflix for just letting nothing was off limits. I mean, like you said, Tyler, there was a bunch of Aaron Hernandez jokes. There was a bunch of let's just say footballs being deflated jokes.
Think about it. The only joke that got Manny mad was a Robert Kraft massage joke where he went up there, he went up on thing, they told him to knock it off. I'm like, okay, if that's where he's drawing the line, I was like, okay, this is not gonna be that good. But that was all. And then the Kevin Hart getting Belichick and Kraft do a shot together was like, and then his reaction. That I'm probably the furthest from a Kevin Hart fan. I'm not a big fan of Kevin Hart really in general. But it was unhinged.
Yeah, credit to Bill Belichick for actually showing up and being like a good sport, like he I didn't know how that was going to go. Though. Yeah, he told some good jokes. You could tell he kind of like had his own spin on him. It's still a little bit of the Bill Belichick personality. And then poor Randy Moss, man.
That I think it was about the Deflategate where like Tom Brady, like he actually got like a couple of minutes to tell his own joke.
At the end.
Like he was saying like, I paid $20 million. Like, shoot, just give me the money. I'll say that I did it. That was like the most relatable quote from a guy that's made millions and millions of dollars.
No, Randy Moss to me saying, man, you guys were cheating before with Spygate and then Deflategate after me. Why didn't we cheer hard enough when I was here? Like, I was like, okay, I was like him poking fun of that. I'm like, okay. I've met Randy Moss once or twice when he was when Thad was at LSU. Yeah. I thought he was funny. I'm like, and to see him come alive with that and being the only, I thought, and even the jabs at him, calling him white as can be for me from West Virginia. I was like, okay, but Gronk just got obliterated and did not look like he was having fun.
So I was going to say Randy Moss, they mentioned a lot of Randy's the only one on the stage that doesn't have a Super Bowl ring. After like the fifth time they said it, he looked pissed. He was like, all right, y'all can move on. I know I do not have a Super Bowl ring. And then Gronk, of course, like you said, was kind of getting dunked on, but then his jokes were funny. I loved when he was reading from the teleprompter and he was like having trouble with a word, and Kevin goes, "Sound it out, Gronk, sound it out."
The greatest thing I've heard Gronk did, Gronk spiked his shot glass and end up injured in the first row.
Did he? That I was thinking somebody may get a stray shard from that, but then they never like mentioned it anywhere else on social media. I didn't see any mention it, so I'm like, oh, maybe they got lucky. They didn't hit anybody, but yeah.
I will say, I mean, Tom Brady, he was a good sport through it all. I don't think he really understood how like deep some of these people were going to go. A lot of jokes about his wife. Kevin Hart had one about like, Giselle's actually here tonight, but she's Antonio Brown's +1. And I was like, that opened the whole thing.
She got mad on Twitter, though.
She was.
She got mad on Twitter.
People upset. She was upset. But Aaron Hernandez's ex-fiance was upset, which I guess. Yeah.
I mean, damn. Like,
that's what happens when your ex-husband's a psychopath who killed multiple people.
Exactly.
But then I always forget the dude's name, but I only ever know him from the roast. It's that bald dude, and he was.
He's the comedian that normally hosts them. Jeff Ross, is that his name?
Yeah, him. He was.
Is that it?
Him and Elvin making like Jewish jokes to each other, where they were hitting each other with that. I was like, okay.
Oh, how about Bert Kreischer mentioning Tom Brady, Aaron Hernandez, Hitler, and Jeffrey Epstein all in the same sentence? I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
So it was.
It was great. I'm looking forward to watching.
I missed like the first hour of it, so I'm gonna go back and catch the beginning. But what I wanted to ask you all, what athlete, Tyler, we'll start with you. Who would you like to see participate in one of these? Peyton Manning did it a long time ago. Tom Brady just did it. Who's someone you think would be a pretty good someone to get up there and take some jabs at him?
And LeBron James for sure.
I like that when he retired.
There's like a mixed divide. Like some people like love him, and there's other people that just absolutely hate this, like his ever living guts. So I think that would be a good one.
Well,
I would like the
Roasty, one of the Kelsey brothers,
or both of them together. Have them both have a joint roast.
Taylor Swift up there they have a duo.
Travis Kelce would be fun.
Yeah,
I mean the Kelsey brother there. It would be fun to combo there, or even just Travis Kelce, because you could go for hours on Taylor Swift jokes with him.
I think Nick Saban would be amazing. Have like former players come up there.
The former players up there.
I don't know how he would take it, but I think it would be pretty awesome to watch Nick Saban get up there.
You would probably laugh on the outside, but on the inside, it's like, F these people.
Yeah, he's just got him on the shit list.
Better person, not a player, but a personality. Herb Street would be fun.
Oh yeah, Herb Street. I'd get up there and say Kirk.
Gary Danielson. I would put him up there. Like
Donald.
Just
Donald Trump up there, I think would be awesome.
He did one back in the day.
That's every day with Donald Trump, though.
Pre-presidency.
But I would say he did one in like 2002, I think, like early 2000s, back before he was the figure he is now.
Okay.
But yeah.
No, I think I liked how Netflix did it, live special. Everything was on the table. The PC police were not in attendance. I mean, you saw what Dana White said. I'm not going to repeat it. It was great. It was pretty entertaining. I mean, me and my wife were watching it, and she's like, "Who's that? Who's that? Who's that?" And at one point, it just didn't matter because it was so funny. We were cracking up.
Yeah, I think like if you're not even into sports, like you enjoy that too. So
like I guess our generation growing up watching Tom Brady, take over the NFL and seeing all of the stuff that was going on and hearing the jokes about it, like the Deflategate and when he, just everything that was going on. I didn't know who the dude that kept pointing to Alex Guerrero was until I Googled it and realized he's like his, what they call him, snake oil salesman. Like he does all of Tom Brady's supplements. So the joke, once I understood that, they were pretty funny. But it was, it was a good roast, a good Peyton Manning coming out was great. I loved that.
Yeah.
I think that
I haven't gotten that part yet, but yeah,
he comes out, and I thought I read somewhere that he was not invited. Tom Brady did not invite him, and then he comes out as like this special guest, and Brady had no idea, and he had some pretty good ones.
Did you guys see with Eli coming on Twitter yesterday saying that he wasn't invited because make even more Super Bowl jokes about the losses. I'm like, okay,
there was a lot
right,
of those.
Yeah.
Ron Burgundy made an appearance. The famed. Have you seen that part yet, Neil? Have you caught up to that part?
I have, and I was like,
yeah, that was great.
But because I want to say another one a year or two ago, I think it was a Justin Bieber roast a couple years ago that he did the same thing where we went out there Ron Burgundy in Crust. So I think that's kind of the inspiration behind having him do it, because I think Will Ferrell did a lot of the early ones as the early original Comedy Central roast. I think he was a big part of those, but then doing the Burgundy, I think made it that much better because of the Anchorman era mirrored a lot of the Tom Brady era as well.
Right. But yeah, Tyler, you need to go check it out. Just throw it on in the background. Listen to it like a podcast. You don't really have to watch anything, because they're just getting up there telling jokes. And I'm going to go back and watch the beginning because, like I said, I missed some of it, and I heard the Kevin Hart stuff was pretty funny. But let's talk football news. Some other things happening in the offseason. Rashee Rice not having the best offseason, which is pretty unfortunate because he was a standout rookie for the Chiefs last year. He has the Dallas car incident where he's racing the guy and wrecks the car, runs away from the scene. We talked about that a little bit. And then it was announced this afternoon. We find the headline. I don't have the headline, but
I just took it off my lock screen.
He what is it, Tyler? He's wanted for questioning in an altercation in a Dallas nightclub.
Yeah, it's a Dallas nightclub. Police are pretty much investigating it.
Sounds like
which I think happened it happened like the morning of all that incident. It happened like during the time frame as the
car racing
chasing. I'm trying to get put up right now. Yeah.
Yes. So he's having a heck of an off season. Not great.
He ain't playing next year.
You don't think? I mean, it sounded.
I don't think he plays next year.
It is going to be a suspension at the very least.
Well, look at Alvin Kamara.
I think
he was on camera beating the hell out of the dude. They let him play the whole season.
But he didn't kill anybody.
He didn't kill anybody.
But no one died. I thought somebody died in the. Okay, so let me see. He's been
in the car wreck. Nobody died. I don't think.
So he's a suspect in an alleged assault, the injured man at a Dallas nightclub actually this week. So I thought it was part of the other thing coming from my local news here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it happened. I think it happened this past weekend. But the Chiefs have got to just get him out of Dallas and then lock him in his home. Protect the guy and don't let him do anything dumb. It's unfortunate. I was planning on drafting him in fantasy this year, but
really?
I think
you would be better at drafting Xavier Worthy instead.
Sounds like it. Sounds like it.
Rashee Rice has some problems outside of football right now.
I mean, we know Mahomes has a house in Dallas. He needs to just go pick him up and say, "Look, dude, you're staying here. You're not leaving." Do the Tom Brady, Antonio Brown situation where Tom Brady took him into his home. Just Rashee might go after Brittany, so you got to watch that going on. But yeah, so that was the headline that came up, and it's some free agency news. Odell Beckham signs with the Dolphins. How old is he now, Tyler? He's like 34.
He's like in his mid-30s, isn't he?
Yeah, I think this is.
He's 34, 36, I think.
Yeah,
this may be the last team.
It's got to be.
I keep signing one-year deals, which I think he was a decent part of Baltimore's team last year, not what a lot of people expected. Dolphins, he's just going to be an additional guy out there. I mean, you already got Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. He's a wide receiver.
But you look at what he did in the Super Bowl 3 years ago. I mean, he was key in the early games that got hurt, though. I mean,
yeah, but that
game would have been a blowout.
No, I agree, Neil, but that's pre his second ACL tear, and now he's mid-30s, however old he is.
Yeah.
And I hate to say it because I was a huge Odell fan in college, obviously coming from LSU. But I think he's on his last stint in the NFL this year, maybe next year. Would like to see, hey, come on down to New Orleans. Play for New Orleans. I mean,
they need him.
Come back home and retire. Yeah, we definitely could use him. Between Chris Olave and
Rashee.
What's his name? Shaheed. I like Shaheed. Rashee better than Rashee.
She had him on my fantasy team last year. He did great for me down the stretch last year when I picked him up in a trade.
Rashee?
But no. But the other big transition from today is exciting for me.
What's that?
With Boyd today, that's such a huge deal for.
So tell us about that, Neil. Your Titans.
Got my koozie here, repping him for that. I think it just adds to our already stacked wide receiver room because you throw in Hopkins and Ridley on that. And Hopkins even said this week that he's planning on riding out the rest of his career here if they'll let him, which I thought was interesting, So, yeah. So, I think and that wide receiver is already stacked. Our defense got a lot better in this draft class and everything else. Our O-line seemed to have taken major steps forward. I think this will be a really good year to show what Levis can do. And if Levis plays decent ball with O-line struggles, it'll show Levis is the guy. If Levis struggles with the decent O-line, maybe it'll show that Levis isn't the guy, and we'll probably make a midseason trade for a backup quarterback, maybe to replace him. Mm-hmm. But I think that wide receiver room is stacked. If we can't get something going on offense, it'll just show you that the quarterback isn't there because. But I am a Levis guy. Most of my family are not sold on Levis. I think he has a lot of potential to be good for us. And our major O-line moves where half our O-line should be set with Strunk and then Latham. So I think it will be a big year to see what offense can do.
So Odell is 31. We'll clear that up. And Matty Ice thinks he's still got the juice. Honey Badger has had 71 ACL surgeries. It's still balling. No, Neil, I love the Tyler Boyd signing with Tennessee, like you said, with Calvin Ridley in the offseason, DeAndre Hopkins. It's another weapon for a young quarterback in Will Levis to prove that he's why they draft him. I think Levis is the guy moving forward. Yep, and cheap as well.
And also $4.5 million, which is nothing, and it really he did good things. Also, you remember 1 year, $4.5 million. You also got to throw in our head coach was his OC last year. Callahan was his OC last year, so Callahan knows what he can do. So I think that shows sign. And I was really hoping for us to get Higgins until they tagged them. I was hoping for us to get one of those two guys from them. And I was kind of worried when they saw it when he visited and left. I'm like, oh, maybe this won't happen. But for that price, Rain Carthon's cooking this year with our free agency move. So I'm excited to see what we can do this year.
What's the early prediction you got, Neil, for the Titans season?
I think we can make it to 10 wins this year.
Okay, you think playoffs?
I think our division is going to be interesting. It depends on if Houston does what they should be able to do with their players. Indianapolis is still a crapshoot. I think Jacksonville will continue to struggle, but because I've known me since college, I'm a big Trevor Lawrence hater. So I don't think he's that good a guy. So I think the Jags will take it a step back. I think Houston will continue to climb up, but also a year two quarterback never does what they did in year one ever. So I think Stroud will probably take a step back as well.
Bold.
I don't see that step back, honestly. There. Because, look, I think Houston's adding Stephon Diggs, and then you also adding a guy like Joe Mixon in the backfield. It's going to be one of the best offenses. If you really look at AFC South offenses, Tennessee, they added some pieces, but Tony Pollard didn't do jack crap last year with the Dallas Cowboys, and he had a better offensive line. The Titans' offensive line is not Dallas's. And I could see the Jaguars. But I could see the Jaguars stepping back. Trevor Lawrence, he dealt with a ton of injuries last season. Etienne did as well. But you added a guy like Brian Thomas in Indianapolis. Anthony Richardson, he hardly played last season because he was knocked out with injury. He's coming back. Then you got a guy like Jonathan Taylor in the backfield. So I'm not saying that Tennessee is going to be making the playoffs or anything, but they're not going to be getting first in this division. It's still Houston's division to steal.
I'm with Houston, baby. I've given up on the Saints.
And they got some cool uniforms this season, so let's rock with Houston.
Not a fan of uniforms. I think they're kind of high school-y.
Well, I'm just surprised they weren't baby blue to go back to the Houston Blues.
They would get sued in a minute, and the University of Houston is currently being sued by the Adams family right now. But yeah,
really, I didn't know that. Tyler, let's look at it from a Bengals standpoint, and I would say maybe like a fantasy outlook. Joey B is we lost Neil for there he is. Joey B is back at camp throwing. Of course, as number one wide receiver in Jamar Chase. Hurt or help the Bengals in that aspect?
Getting rid of Tyler Boyd definitely helps in somewhat. Neil also brought up a good point that T. Higgins has been really the focal point of really the offseason talk. Like he was like asking for a trade, and then they franchise tagged him, so it looks like he's going to be staying around. Especially with Tyler Boyd moving to Tennessee, I just don't think that the Bengals are going to be moving him because it would just be Jamar Chase and nobody else. Like there's really nobody else to contend with him in that wide receiver group. So this definitely helps Jamar Chase's like Tyler Boyd, stole some of his target share. Now it's pretty much the T. Higgins show. T. Higgins really didn't do much of anything last year. I had him on my fantasy team, and he didn't really do anything for me. So Jamar Chase, though, last year, we all know that Joe Burrow wasn't healthy the whole entire season, so you can't really look at Jamar Chase's full season. So, yeah, I would definitely feel pretty confident picking Jamar Chase once again in the first round with a lot other talented wide receivers to look at as the season gets closer on. But yeah, definitely some great news that we got today, especially if you're a Bengals fan. Joe Burrow's back throwing. So hopefully we get a healthy Joe Burrow and a healthy offense because this is an offense that has a lot of question marks because you just got rid of a guy like Joe Mixon. Who do you go to now? And then
Who's
really
running back now?
I don't really know, honestly. I couldn't really put up his name. Maybe somebody in the comments can put him. But really, if you look at the offense, it's pretty much Jamar Chase, and that's it.
I'm looking up the Bengals running back depth chart.
I would also say, so their O-line really didn't make any steps forward either, which is a big concern for me with Joe's injury history of them. I feel like, and as you guys probably remember, I was big on the opinion of them needing to draft Sewell during that draft class where they took Jamar, because I think, and I still kind of believe that long term Sewell has shown the last 2 years that he's that elite guy that everybody thought he was going to be, and they really haven't made any major steps to that O line with Joe having back-to-back injuries. I feel like that's still a big question mark for them.
They did draft that offensive lineman 2 weeks ago. Name escapes me.
I know who it was. It's who the Titans were looking at heavily until we went with Latham, I think.
Yeah, so Bengals starting running back at the moment is Zach Moss.
Hey, he was pretty good with Cole.
We'll see.
Yeah, but he's not a Joe Mixon though. Fantasy wise, that's what I'm going to be talking about with Justin Jefferson too. Like he's in a good offense, but the question marks of JJ McCarthy. I don't even know if he's going to start, so it's probably going to be Sam Darnold. That's why you're going to see in my rankings, which I've already been thinking of, Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson are probably going to be the 4 and the 5.
Oh, well, stay tuned for that. Hit the subscribe button. And
that'll be in July. Start of July. We're going to get things going back here.
July. Okay, so we got a date for it. So let's shift from the preseason or off-season NFL talk to something that's in season and in the playoffs at the moment. We had the Timberwolves go up in an early 2-0 lead on the Nuggets last night. Tyler Anthony Edwards looks like the second coming of Michael Jordan, and the Nuggets are they're just looking shambles. That's 2 in Denver they've taken. How do you think this season's going to, or the series is going to fare going forward?
Yeah, it's definitely huge for Minnesota to get those 2 in Denver. Like you mentioned, Anthony Edwards has been on a tear. Another guy has been on a tear is Naz Reid, former LSU Tiger. He's definitely been really a big man for them. And then Karl Anthony Towns, he's been a force down low there. So really big for the Timberwolves to get 2, and I think that they complete this series and knock out the defending champ. So give me the T-Wolves to advance.
You think they go with a clean sweep?
I'm not going to go with a clean sweep. I'll say in 6. I think that the Nuggets will figure things out here, maybe steal 1, but it'll be too late. Minnesota will get the job done.
Okay, and then you got honestly, I've shifted my champion pick to the Timberwolves just with how Anthony Edwards is playing. Yeah. Give him the MVP this year. I don't think Jokic is getting it for back-to-back seasons.
Maybe
Rudy Gobert.
I would give it to Luka, honestly.
Oh, you think Luka? Interesting.
See, that I'm thinking it's going to come down to either the Mavs or the Timberwolves at this point because the Mavs have been looking really, really solid again this year. Their run of luck with the European guys anchoring that team has really come to show. Exactly. I know they're starting off later tonight.
Oh yeah, they play the Thunder. I don't know what time that is.
8:30. So
yeah, 8:30. So Mavs Thunder from the panel. What's the pick here, Tyler? Who you got?
Yeah, OKC made quick work with the Pelicans. I will tell you that. So this is a very young team. The Mavericks, they're just coming off of a great series win against the Clippers. Clippers, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, they were pretty much fully healthy. I'm going to stick with my finals pick here. I'm going to go with the Mavericks to pull off a little upset here. I just think that Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving are playing fantastic. Nothing against Oklahoma City. I think that this goes 7. This is going to be one of the best series to watch as this series goes on. But I'm going to go with the Dallas Mavericks to move on.
I agree with you, Tyler, and I think a big thing is experience reigns supreme here. The Thunder have a younger team. Luka and Kyrie have both been in the playoffs before. They have the playoff experience. Obviously, Kyrie with LeBron, Luka the past couple of years. I think they just band together and Dallas advances. And Neil, I would assume you are also picking Dallas as a Dallas or Fort Worth resident.
I am, as you guys know, I'm probably one of the biggest anti-basketball people you'll ever meet. I only watch it when it happens to be on the background of wherever I'm at. But yeah, it's going to be. But I'm always been a big believer in cheering for my hometown teams, no matter the sport. And now that I'm a Metroplex resident, I will have to cheer for them in a sport that I really don't look at. Like for them, I'll cheer for them and the Rangers because I don't have a hard team in those two things. I will continue to cheer against the Stars. On the NHL side.
That makes sense. Being a Nashville guy, you got to cheer against the Stars. You can't cheer for them. Knicks and Pacers, Tyler. Knicks take the early 1-up lead. What do you think's going on there?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Villanova boys with Brunson and Josh Hart there. I'm going to go with the Knicks. I think that they're just too much for Indiana. Indiana did come off of a win against the Bucks. The Bucks were like 2 or 3 games where they didn't have Giannis and Dame. That really hurt them in round number 1. But I'm going to go with the New York Knicks. This has been a team that has not been on a deep run in quite some time. So they definitely deserve it. Their fans deserve it. Their fans have been soaked through so much in the past decade. So give me the Knicks in this one.
I like the Knicks also. I think they're one of those teams of destiny. Like you said, they're making a run. Josh Hart is insane in terms of getting rebounds and just playing, like hustling on 50-50 plays. The dude just doesn't stop. I wish he was still in New Orleans. I loved watching him in New Orleans. I think he was a game changer. But kudos to him moving on to a team that actually advances in the playoffs. Other game, Cavs, Celtics. I think the Celtics are the favorite, right? They're one of the favorite teams to win the playoffs. Cavs have Donovan Mitchell. I like the Celtics here. Tyler, what?
I like what Donovan Mitchell did. They beat the Orlando Magic in game number 7. The Magic were actually up late in that one by 15, and then Donovan Mitchell, the Spider, just went absolutely bonkers. But yeah, the Celtics, they have 60-plus wins for a reason. So it's going to take a lot of effort to beat them. So I'm going to go with the Boston Celtics. I'm not going to do a clean sweep, but I'm going to go in 6 in this one.
I like it. Got a headline for y'all, and it involves basketball and football. Wanted to get your take on this, Tyler and Neil. So Austin Rivers, via the Pat McAfee show, says, I could take 30 players right now in the NBA and throw them in the NFL. You cannot take 30 NFL players and put them in the NBA. J.J. Watt responds, you don't have a job in either right now. Go ahead and try it. What do you think? You think what would work better, taking NBA players and putting them in the NFL, or NFL players into the NBA?
Well, I don't want J.J. Watt calling me out, but I just feel like the NBA play, like you could get like just a bunch, every center on every team and just form a football team and just like put them on defense. I think they probably couldn't play offense, but they could play defense.
I'm thinking you could fill out a pretty good wide receiver core / tight ends, and then the defensive back unit out of most of the guys in the NBA. But there's half the positions on a football team you could not put in a basketball form.
Yeah,
that's
kind of
I was going with it.
because I mean, I've had this debate about like before of the big three sports of which you could transition to, and definitely baseball is the hardest one for any
Yeah, I
athlete
think we can
to
agree.
transition
Nobody could transition to baseball. Just watching like CJ Stroud throwing an opening pitch, that looked awful. The man gets paid millions of dollars to throw a football. Zach Edey didn't even hit the batter's box. I mean, come on.
Yeah. But I think then I guess the other side of that, I would say golf's the easiest one for anybody to transition to.
From a professional
I
standpoint,
feel like
look at all these pro athletes that ended up picking up a golf club and ended up being decently successful at playing golf. Like,
define decently successful. There's hitting it down the fairway, and then there's actually competing.
Look at the videos that you see of baseball players. They're at Top Golf. Like, this ain't no top golf versus going on an actual golf course is two different things.
And I guess where I would argue that is they can hit the ball. I'll give them that. Yeah. But it's going about 400 yards that way. All right.
No, but you see a lot of these former athletes, they'll go to these programs and be paired up with the pros and be pretty solid. You know, I think that's a, you know, and you guys see me play golf, that, you know, I'm the last person to be talking about golf game. But I think of this, I think that's one of the easier ones for these guys to pick it up in retirement into being decent. I think that you couldn't translate those guys to do other sports very well at all.
No, I think picking up in retirement and going to play golf, yes. But I'm talking being competitive in a professional atmosphere, as in like taking LeBron James and putting him as a tight end on the Cleveland Browns. I think you could do that. Or Nikola Jokic and putting him as a defensive end on whoever. That could probably happen. I don't think you could take give me a tight end, Tyler.
I don't know. Like, you can't
Mark
take
Andrews
now and put him as a center and then think that he's going to put up a double-double every night.
Right. You can't take Mark Andrews and expect him to make a three-pointer and transition up and down the court for 42 minutes. But then I definitely don't think you'd like Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, he's got a good golf swing, but you're not putting him in a professional golf tournament expecting him to win the thing.
Yeah.
But I think, no offense to J.J. Watt, do not come for us. I think it would be a little easier taking somebody out of the NBA and having them perform on a football field. But as soon as you get some of these guys that are soft, like LeBron James, and he gets taken out across the middle, is he getting back up? That's the big question.
No.
So
not at all.
It was an interesting topic. Austin Rivers probably isn't the one to be saying how easy it is to play in the NBA when he, like JJ said, he doesn't have a job. And his dad's a coach. So I just saw that on Twitter and thought I'd get your takes on that. But let's get NHL playoffs check-in here. Let's start with your Dallas Stars, Neil. They take on the Avalanche tonight. What's your prediction?
I think the Avalanche are going to pull that series. I know I think they've been on a decent run here lately. The Stars have been solid all year down the stretch, but I think the Avalanche have had a lot more recent success as a franchise. I know they won it, I think, a year or two ago is when they won it all. I can't, because I remember I have some family that live in Denver, and they are big Avalanche fans. I remember them talking about it, but yeah. I think the team that's going to have the worst luck is probably going to be the Vancouver. I think is going to have the worst chances, I think, of everybody. I think they're probably going to lose out this round due to injuries.
Yeah, so Stars had a pretty long first series, taking it 7 games against the Golden Knights. And Colorado got it 5. Tyler, what do you think of that series?
I'm going to go with the Colorado Avalanche, too. Like you mentioned, the Stars are coming off of a grueling 7-game series. So it's definitely hard to do in hockey, especially since it's such a grueling sport. So I'm going to go with the Colorado Avalanche. Might change that. The Stars steal one out there in Denver, but I'm going to go with the Avs.
You know what? I'm going Dallas just to be different from the two of you. I was really hoping we would have Fletch on because he's our resident hockey fan.
Yep.
But we'll get his take next week. Going on to the next game, Canucks versus Oilers. Both of them, Canucks went 6 games, Oilers went 5. Look, give me the Oilers to take the win here.
I'm going the same thing. That I watched a lot of the Canucks last series because they were playing my Preds, and there were multiple games there that we should have stole those things, and they're on their second goalie. They're having serious issues at goalie this year. I know one of them was hurt most of our series. They had to activate their emergency backup goalie during the last series. Yeah, so they should have. We probably could have beat them Friday night. I think if we had our full home ice effect, but there was a lot bigger event going on in Nashville Friday night. I think a lot of Preds fans were across the river Friday night at the Titan Saver show. I think if we had the full home ice effect there, that we could have taken it to 7 games. But yeah.
Okay, so
yeah, that's kind of thing, And then
you're going Oilers then.
Yeah.
Tyler, what do you think?
Yeah, I'll go Edmonton too. Go with Connor McDavid. Like Chet, I don't really know too much about NHL, but I'm going to go with Connor McDavid and the star power.
We got to give pucks.
Yeah,
or not pucks. We got to give picks, but hey, pucks works too.
We got to get pucks.
Panthers Bruins. Panthers took a 4-1 series over the Lightning, and Bruins had a wild Game 7.
Yeah, they almost
winning in overtime. I think they ride the momentum here after that overtime win and take down the Panthers.
They also won 5-1 last night.
Oh, they do lead
against the Florida.
1-0. Yep.
Yeah, and 5-1, they were dominating all night long. I was keeping up a little bit. I know that I have a few friends who are Boston fans. I was keeping up a little bit with that. So I think it's going to be Boston there.
Tyler?
I'm not shying away from who I think is going to take this whole thing. So give me the Bruins, like we mentioned, coming off of a big 5-1 victory. If they can steal Game 2, it's pretty much a wrap. They're not going to choke again. Toronto had a chance to take them down, but they're not going to let that happen again. So give me Boston.
And the last one, we got Rangers Hurricanes. Rangers took Game 1 4-3. They're currently tied at 2 apiece in the second quarter. Give me the Rangers. I'm going to go with the New York team. Can't root for a hurricane. I mean, that's just a natural disaster.
I'm rather with you, Chet. I'm going with the Rangers. And I think they've got a solid team. If they can take it up 2-0 going on the road, But in hockey, home field, I think in hockey is one of the bigger home field advantages in pro sports, in my opinion. It's very hard that if you. I've seen a lot of times that if the road team wins on the road early in the series, then it really kind of sets the precedent there. Yeah, the Rangers have won, once on, they're home for this, starting off the series with how they go 2-2, and they alternate through there. And that's also for once, it's actually 2 East Coast teams for once, which is kind of crazy with the hockey playoffs. You get teams traveling across the country, multiple time zones, but I think the Rangers are going to pull off that series as well and have a good shot at winning it all.
Okay, Tyler, what you think?
Yeah, Rangers are one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. Unlike you, the Hurricanes got some
unlike
pretty cool
me.
uniforms.
What do you mean?
No, but like you, I was getting to a segue. But they got some pretty cool uniforms. But we've been through a lot of hurricanes throughout some time. Not supporting those bastards. So give me the Rangers.
You said that one of the best teams in the conference, unlike you. I was like, whoa, what are you talking about, Tyler? I'm getting shots fired.
I was getting to a segue.
Speaking of segues, let's go dog of the week. Okay, everybody's favorite segment. Who got that dog in them? Dog of the week. We'll let our guest NASCAR Neil let you take it away.
Mine's gonna be a little weird, but I'm going high-speed cameras are the dog of the week this week.
Between the Kentucky Derby and then also with that NASCAR finish. I saw that picture.
I'm going high-speed cameras, man. They're the dog of the week. They have, because of them, we have seen some great finishes to fairly large sport. I mean, with the Derby, I missed most of that. I was driving home from Lubbock on Saturday, so I missed most of that. But seeing the ends of that and seeing how close it really was, so I'm going to go off the ball there with high-speed cameras.
I like it. Let's talk about the Kentucky Derby for a second. Mystic Dan pulling out the win. I liked what was his name? Track Phantom, because it was May 4th, the Star Wars theme, right? Phantom. I felt like that was the guy, and he jumped off to an early start. And I was like, oh, he's going to get it done. Track Phantom. And then Mystic Dan comes from the back of the pack, takes the outside, cuts the corner, and like Neil said, high-speed camera finish, got him by the tip of his nose to win the Kentucky Derby. So pretty neat there. Tyler, who's your pick for Dog of the Week?
Yeah, I'm going to go to college baseball here. I'm going to go to Georgia's Charlie Condon, and this man is having himself a season. Just hit a nuke after nuke after nuke. He tied the NCAA baseball record for single-season home runs in the BB Core era with 33. Had himself a weekend as Georgia did the clean sweep over the Vanderbilt Commodores as Georgia is looking to build up, maybe potentially be a regional host. I got to go with Charlie Condon. Definitely been the season dog for the Dogs.
Yeah, and we'll get into college baseball here in a second. I just saw a Jack Caglione home run that was just to be laughed at. Mine's also college baseball. It pains me to say it, but it was one of the most impressive things I saw. Chase Burns against pitching for Wake Forest against Western Carolina. He broke an aluminum bat on a strikeout.
Wow.
So he throws, which we all know he throws absolute fire. I think it's like a 102 or something is his fastball. And he threw he kind of saw the guy off there on the inside. I'm watching the video right now. Or no, I'm sorry. It looks like a kind of in the dirt. And the dude does a check swing, which it's kind of insane that he's got that much forearm strength to check the swing and still have it break. And check swing, bat just goes flying. Flying to the pitcher's mound, and it was strikeout. So Chase Burns with the speed there. You're laughing at what Matty Ice just put in the comments, aren't you? All right, Matt Jones. Who got that dog in him? You want to know who's got that dog in him? Ryan Garcia. Dude was popping SARMs pills before his big fight, thinking he wasn't going to get caught. Yeah, I saw that.
Dog of the week.
I saw that headline come across Twitter. He was like, I don't know what they're talking about, man. I don't do steroids. Nothing illegal. It's like, dude, they tested you and it came back positive. He's like, well, I didn't know SARMs were illegal. SARMs are a steroid, my brother. You can't be taking all that. So, well, I haven't been following that too much, but yeah, that's a good one, Matt. So let's get college baseball. Tyler, the four of y'all or three of y'all sat on this show last week when I said, I feel like LSU's getting hot. I want them to at least win one game, but I think it's a series win. They're going to take the series against the number one team in the country, Texas A&M. Wade laughed at me. Jacob laughed at me. Tyler called me an idiot. Nobody believed in him. And what do they do?
Hey, I was in the chat, I think, saying I thought they could pull it off.
Neil believed me.
Maybe I can't remember.
What do? They take down Texas A&M game 1 and game 2. Both have scored a 6-4. We're not going to talk about game 3. That we could just forget about that one. Pitching game 3 is an issue. But Tyler, are the Tigers hot, and are they hot at the right time to make a playoff push?
Yeah, definitely. We'll see. Score update though: Northwestern State 3, LSU 2 right now. So we'll see how that game shapes up. But it's a midweek game. But yeah, I definitely think that LSU with this series win definitely has a path to the postseason. I always said like you got to get to 13 wins in the regular season. We were all thinking like, man, they're not even going to get to 13 by the SEC tournament. But right now they're sitting at 9-14. Got a 3-game set against Alabama. Alabama though coming off of a series loss against Mississippi State. But they play better at home. They got some good series win against Tennessee. They beat Arkansas at home. So this is a different team at home. So if LSU can get another series win, you get to 11. You got to get at least one, though, to get you to 10 before you have your final regular season series against Ole Miss. Ole Miss really fighting for their lives just to make it to the SEC tournament right now. Missouri and Auburn on the outside looking in. So I think the magic number to get to is 13. If you get to that in the regular season, you're all right. If you get to 12, then you probably got to win at least 1 or 2 more in the SEC tournament to feel good about yourselves. But nonetheless, if they do get in, they'll probably be a 3 seed and traveling somewhere.
So does the SEC tournament, does that count towards their conference
Yeah, the committee views that pretty much as SEC wins.
Okay, yeah. But I mean they should. The SEC is one of the toughest divisions of baseball. Go ahead.
My big concern though with how we're hot right now, but as we've seen a lot from game threes, our pitching falls apart, and that's going to be tough come SEC tournament in a regional because
you got to you got to win the first two for LSU to advance.
But to really though, yes, that even if we make it to a regional, going to that 3 seed, we're gonna be an uphill battle from there. So I think that's gonna be the tough part moving out of regionals. I think if we can make a super, we're in a good shot because that is a 2-game thing. If we can come up early and win the first 2 games of that, then we have a shot. But I think making it through a regional will be extremely tough for us.
If they make it through the regional, this team will make it to Omaha because I think that they could beat pretty much anybody in a super regional in a 3-game series because they'll have Gage Jump and Luke Holman, and if they win those two, they move on. And they avoid that game 3 where they don't really have anybody that stepped up like Nate Ackenhausen. He only threw like an inning, but he's coming off an injury. He's a guy to look at. But you're also getting some guys emerging out of the bullpen, like a guy like Christian Little, and then we're also seeing a guy like Gavin Guidry step up too, even though he hasn't had really many innings eat up like he did last year. So you're starting to see some guys step up in the bullpen.
Big thing I want to say, games 1 and 2 wise, pitching has been great with Gage Jump, Luke Holman, and then you kind of have that 1-2 punch, Gage Jump. Typically, it's been Griffin Herring in game 1. The dude is the hottest pitcher in the SEC right now, in my opinion. I would love to see him be your game 3 starter, but we're in a situation where you have to win games. You got to win the first game, so you keep him, and when you bring him in relief, and you get that win. And then what Christian Little did this weekend, I've given Christian Little a lot of shit. I'll own up to it. I was surprised he was even on the team. It's for him to come in and shut down the number 1 team in the country for what he pitched 4 2/3 innings,
almost 4 innings. They almost let him ride, and he gave up, I believe, a walk, and then they took him out.
In his longest outing, and then you had Lauer come in for a pitch, which should have been an out. Braswell's got some issues there at shortstop, and then Guidry, the trusty closer, to come in, get the out that you need, and take the series. Game 3 is an issue. Thatcher Hurd, I'm sorry, but he shouldn't pick up a baseball for the rest of the season. I can't tell you the last time I saw him throw a strike, man. It's been. I like the kid.
World Series Finals.
Something's going on.
I was about to say that, Tyler.
Yeah, he's got no confidence, man. This season has looked really rough for him. And I hate it because he's a big arm that we could definitely use. And then you got Javen Coleman, who's potentially a lefty starter, but he's struggled in the past. Ackenhausen, we all thought was going to be the guy, but I think his injury is a little lingering to where he's you kind of saw in the second inning of game 3 that was bothering him. Helmers came in and looked great for the majority of it. I think he just got left in too long. Good too. Yeah, so I don't know who your game 3 starter is, really. But
you're going to figure it out if you do make the postseason, if you want to make a deep run. Thatcher Hurd's going to have to figure it out if they want to make a deep run again.
Yes, Thatcher Hurd's the guy that has to step up, honestly.
The same scenario as last season, except you don't have a guy throwing 102 on Friday. You're pretty much giving you an automatic win.
Exactly. So hopefully Thatcher unlocks something and it gets his head right and gets going, and we see the Tigers make a postseason run. I gave up full hope on them, to be fully honest, like a month and a half ago.
Whenever they were 3-12, I was like, bury this team.
They got that Missouri series win. They got that Auburn series win. The A&M series win. Alabama's going to be tough, especially in Tuscaloosa. But I think with the way the pitching staff has looked game 1 and 2, you have a real chance. The offense has looked great. They actually score when people are on base. I can't believe it. It's actually, I've been preaching it all year. Just get a base hit. And they're finally doing it. So, Tyler, Neil, I think they can get a series win against Alabama, and I definitely think they could possibly sweep Ole Miss. That's just my take on it.
I just don't think that this team's capable of sweeping anybody until I see it.
So
I'm with you. A sweep is a bit of a stretch until we see them actually do it. As much as you guys were saying,
teams that they were going to sweep, it was going to be Missouri and Auburn.
That's true. True.
I feel like this is also a year that a lot of powerhouses are struggling. Like, I mean,
Florida.
I mean, of teams.
Florida might not even make
look at Vandy. Like Vandy's on a terrible loser. You know, that's the other team I follow pretty closely. Having with my grandmother who has season tickets of Vandy, she goes to every home game just about.
I could not.
We've been talking a lot.
This single home game with a stupid whistler.
He's like, but for them though, they don't notice it. Like I've gone to games there.
Oh,
I barely notice it. So it's like one of those things. But she's been going since I was a kid, and she has infield seats to their park, which is a tiny park, infield tickets. You know, and she's
such an awful.
We were talking
for a freaking program that's done so well.
But they can't do anything better, which is kind of sad.
Football stadium.
It's like crunched in the middle of their football stadium that was under construction for the whole entire season that they couldn't get done in time. Like who does that? Only Vanderbilt. Like kick them out. Like I sign the petition right now. Kick A&M out and kick Vanderbilt. It was like the SEC was so much better before A&M and before Missouri. That's all I gotta say.
Tyler hates A&M. I hate him too, Tyler.
Like all these fans we're like saying like, oh, we won the aggregate series, so we won 24-11. No. Oh, and then they're like saying like, oh, say whatever. They're not going to win shit this season. They're not going to win the national title.
Tell us how you feel, Tyler. Tell us how you feel.
Hey, they're not. As Chet probably knows.
And then we cannot get rid of them. Like the permanent schedule, like in baseball and football. Like, why is this such a forced rivalry?
As
like,
Chet knows, like
doing it to them.
Yeah,
I don't get it.
No. I agree, Tyler. A&M just needs.
But as Chet probably knows, like me, we're around so many A&M fans, and it's awful to be around because like I know a lot of guys A&M fans because there's just a lot of them live where I live. Tim is you, Chet. They're just so bad, and I'm like, and I've hated them since the 7 overtime game that I slogged through when I was still a manager. You know, like I just don't like them, and I'll meet guys, and I'm like, I'm so sorry, and they go, why? I'm like, and it's just back and forth, but it's like it's hard to be polite to them, even when I know I really need to be polite to guys because I've met some guys people that are high level in my industry. I'm like, it's hard to be nice to you. It's hard to be nice to you.
Because this year, like we've beaten them literally in every sport. This whole entire thing.
Yeah. It's rough. I don't love that they're a permanent opponent in baseball either. Let's talk other SEC series though. Kentucky gets a big win over Arkansas. I mean, Arkansas was primed to take the number one spot.
Right on, even win the whole entire SEC.
Tennessee is now the number one team in the country. Since they won their series, and then Texas gets back on track with a series win over Oklahoma State, and Troy takes down the series over ULL or University of Louisiana, whatever you want to call them. But I think so. Back real quick on the LSU before we kind of wrap up college baseball. I would feel more comfortable you win the next 2 series and you win 2 or 2 games in the SEC tournament at least. Then I think it's like.
So if you're saying they would win both, then they would get to 13 and 15. Was what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you win both series, you're going to the postseason as probably a 3 seed. Maybe if you win a couple games in the SEC tournament, you're a 2 seed. But I don't care who you are. If LSU is traveling to your regional and they're playing like they are right now, they're beating you. I'm sorry.
But you do not want this team.
No. LSU is a postseason. They get hyped. The fans travel. It's we got Alabama and Ole Miss. And if anybody's going to end our freaking postseason chances, of course it's going to be one of those 2 freaking teams. So we'll see how that goes. But Tyler, Tennessee's 1, Arkansas is 2, A&M is 3. Is that right?
I don't think so. I think A&M dropped a couple. I think they're down to 5 or 6. Yeah, they got dropped. Let me pull up the rankings here for you.
I'm pulling them up real quick.
So top 10, you got Tennessee 1, Clemson is 2. They're looking pretty good in the ACC. I think it's going to be either Tennessee or Clemson getting the number 1 overall seed. Whoever gets the number 1 overall seed will not win because they have number 1 overall seed has not won it since 1999, whenever Miami was the number 1 seed. A&M is 3. You're right. I thought they dropped more. Kentucky's 4. Arkansas is 5. ECU is 6. Oregon State is 7. Florida State is 8. Duke is 9. Virginia is 10. So, yeah, I mean, the polls say it itself. Like, the top 2 conferences this season has been the SEC and the ACC.
And that's pretty typical for college baseball.
It is. I mean, it's like
I will say,
year.
Tyler, they did mention that my number 2 baseball school is hanging in the top 10 all year. So if LSU doesn't make it, ECU all the way.
Oh yeah,
number 2.
ECU deserves Omaha.
Hey, and I know that if they do it, my little sister will be going to Omaha. My grandmother will take her there, like I almost went last year, because my little sister went to East Carolina when they were bad at everything, and she hates it because they were bad at. Did she happen to be there when they're bad at baseball? She's like, it kind of sucked. We were bad when I was there. I'm like, well, baseball wasn't very great for us though. When we were there, we were.
Well, what else is good?
Nothing great.
Nothing really.
Yeah, it's baseball. Tyler, if the Tigers make it to Omaha, I say we go.
Well, if we didn't go last year, why would we go this year?
Well, last year was
the year to go.
Last year was too easy, man. We knew they were going to win. This year, it's like, are they going to do it, or are we going to be disappointed? That's hey, we got Josh in there. It looks close.
Yeah,
maybe we make it happen.
Well, they don't want us back in Omaha. I mean, we're going to break our own Jello shot, right?
Okay. Let's get hidden gems of the week. Neil, do you got one for us? I know you typically
I was thinking about this when you text me and haven't really thought of anything good for hidden gem wise. So I don't really can't think of anything good. So
I got something good here. I'm going to go to college football. The Arizona Bowl got a new sponsor. No longer with Barstool Sports. It's now Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre's alcoholic beverage. So
what?
I'll go through. So Snoop Dogg, the article says, is getting into the college football business with a historic sponsorship that recognizes his 1993 hit song and recent beverage line with Dr. Dre, Gin and Juice. So the rapper on Monday revealed the new Snoop Dogg Arizona Bowl presented by Gin and Juice by Dr. Dre and Snoop, announcing his intent to bring the juice back to college football. So yeah, an exciting times.
I love it.
Arizona Bowl getting Snoop Dogg.
I thought it was cool that Barstool did it, but I think this is
way cooler than Drew Barstool.
This is way better. I don't even want to say my hidden gem because it's not even that cool.
This is one of my better ones so far.
I like that one.
Sports college football.
Here's my hidden gem. It's going to take the listeners going to have to look it up. Look up the PRCC playoff commercial. Pearl River Community College, near where Tyler and I grew up. They shot a commercial for their conference tournament that they're hosting, and it was like the entire baseball team shooting an infomercial, but every time they sent a different link, so the opposing fans have no idea where to buy tickets at. So there will be no opposing fans there; it'll all be Pearl River fans. So I thought that one was pretty funny.
I mean, there's nothing else to do around that part. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I'm going to play some baseball. Neil, I've left the last couple of minutes for you. Do you have a NASCAR update?
I do, actually. As you probably remember from my thing last week, how I was hyped for Kansas and how good of track it was. We started off with a rain delay, started 3 hours late, but that ultimately helped because it caused temperatures to drop. It was a cool kind of evening. Stage 1 was a great. We had some solid battles throughout stage 1 with Hamlin and Chastain along with Larson, which was fun because Larson and Chastain are two of the hardest guys to pass on the track. They're kind of got a good reputation. Especially Chastain is known as the hardest guy to pass on the track. So he was up front early in there, but ultimately did it. Stage 2, we saw an insane move by Chris Buescher for the second week in a row. Last week, he made a really crazy thread the needle move. He did it again this week when they were 5 wide coming off of the stage break, but didn't get the lead there, but got it back pretty good. He had a good long run car, but then ultimately ended up getting this lead during the pit cycle and led this back half the stage. But sadly, Hogan didn't inherit that lead for the third stage, had a penalty on pit road during the stage precautions, kind of sent him to the back. But ultimately, he ended up being a player later on in the race, which I'll get to in a second. But that in first 2 stages, no natural cautions, great racing. It started off with 4 cautions where I was laughing because I was texting Wade about it, where usually I'll type these notes up to send you throughout the race. I had to kept having to go back and edit the caution count because like, oh, we got 2, 3, 4, and they were just crazy kind of things. But as the race was winding down, Hamlin led most of the stage 3, but Truex was quickly catching him. It was said that Hamlin may be short on fuel due to some of the moves strategy during the cautions there. But ultimately, Kyle Busch spins out with 6 to go and forces an overtime, which ended up setting up some interesting moves with NASCAR overtime being 2 laps. Everybody obviously pit because tires were actually a big factor on Sunday. Most of the leaders took 2 tires. Truex took 4, sent him back to 10th where he was second going into that. But it ended up being a giant battle with Buescher, who got back to the lead there with Larson.
Boucher, as I pronounced.
Yes, as you pronounce it, which they were battling back and forth. Buescher dominated through the first lap of overtime. Truex was gaining on him, but he got held up by Elliott on the backstretch, which he probably could have caught him if Elliott hadn't quite held him up a little bit there. But it came down to, as I alluded to earlier, a 0.001 second gap, which some people
it looks like said, out of cars where Lightning McQueen sticks his
that's what I was saying. You got to stick your tongue.
That's what it looks like.
And they originally called it for Buescher, and then they were doing it. And I listened to some of the other media stuff that came out this week, and one of them was Larson's in-car audio where he's like, "Oh, yeah, man, we fought hard." And Larson's a very positive guy. He loves to race. Like he's a pure wheelman kind of attitude where he's like, I don't care. That was fun. If I lose on that, I don't care. I've already got 2 wins this year. I think that was his 3rd win this year. But like he's like, I don't care. That was fun. And then you hear a minute later on his in-car radio recording of his spotter yelling, "Hey, that's got on my official NASCAR rings. We won." And his spotter's just screaming. But it was heartbreaking to see Buescher's crew. All his crew were celebrating, having the time of his life, but then just get it yanked away.
Yeah,
it was brutal. And I even saw pictures of a scoring monitor that had Buescher winning by 0.000 seconds. It was, but then the high speed camera, which is the same one used by the Kentucky Derby, actually same system. And it was a big time story Sunday night, but it was kind of cool. Like there's a poll done on Twitter by a Product Media member, and it was actually yes or no, was it a good race or not? It was now the new record holder for the most yes votes ever in percentage wise at 95.8%, which is insane. That 4% people thought it was not a good race, which is
true. Those 4%,
which I don't know how you had 4% people saying it wasn't a good race. That was arguably the best. I'm trying to go this fall. It falls in September. I'm trying to make it work. It's going to depend on some other factors. I'm almost tempted to go ahead and buy the ticket now and say screw it before it sells out.
You can always sell it.
Yeah, but now that this week we are headed to one of the oldest tracks in the sport, Darlington, the track known with multiple names, whether it be Too Tough to Tame or the Black Mistress. And it also serves as a throwback weekend. It's such an old historic track. A lot of teams will do throwbacks to old schemes in their history. Cool. Hendricks killing it, 40th anniversary this year. Larson's doing an old school Kellogg scheme that was iconic back in the day. Elliott's running the Dale Jr. 2011 Daytona 500 scheme. Byron's running old Jeff Gordon, one of the classic Jeff Gordon chrome flame cars. Byron's running a old Jimmy Johnson Lowe's scheme, which is kind of interesting how teams will take with different sponsors, try to and the new sponsors will let them change their colors and their kind of their stylization to make it work, which is exciting. I've seen a lot of other cool ones throughout the series. In the Xfinity series, Allgaier is running a scheme to look. His sponsor is an ag company, and his car looks like their old trucks they had back in the day when the company first started. Which is kind of cool to see. But then Eric Jones, who I mentioned 2 weeks ago had that bad wreck, was cleared to race this week, but they opted out to let him sit out for this past Sunday, and is racing this week which is what his best track is. He's won it twice there with 2 different teams. It'll be interesting to see what he can do. I'm excited. I love Darlington. It's a weird kind of oblong, kind of like weather balloon kind of shape where it's way bigger on one side and skinny on the other. Really abrasive South Carolina track. But yeah, so I'm excited for that. I'll be looking forward to that Sunday. I think I dropped my mom off the airport like noon, so I'll get home in time to go and watch
Perfect,
it.
Neil. Got it planned out.
And then
Eric Jones sounds like a sneaky pick for Dog of the Week next week if he wins.
Hopefully he does good. And the last thing they got announced today is that Dale Earnhardt Jr., who has previously been a broadcaster for NBC Sports, has now announced he's joining Amazon and TNT next year for their run. I think it's like 6 or 8 races next year. The two networks are doing for the midsummer kind of thing with the new media deal next year. That's a huge get for them. That's instant credibility for those two broadcast teams to have the biggest voice in the sport right now, to have him really do it. I will say keep an eye out for me the next few months as silly season or off-season free agency stuff. It's apparently the rumors are running wild right now of stuff happening. It will be probably one of the craziest ones to date. Actually, it looks like it's coming up with some teams selling off their cars and who's going to buy them, some driver moves. So it's going to be exciting to see what happens there.
I like it. Always fun to hear the silly season rumors. Well, that pretty much wraps up the show. We appreciate everybody tuning in. We went live on X tonight. I got a pretty good audience over there. So if you're watching on X, hit that follow button. Come over to YouTube, subscribe. And find us anywhere you find your podcast, Sports Scramble Podcast, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, Trackster. I don't know. There's all sorts of stuff that we post to. So, Neil, appreciate you joining us. Last second edition. We always enjoy when you come on. Good football talk. And I think that's it, Tyler. You got anything?
Nope, that's it for me.
Let's see if we get Wade and Fletch back on it at some point this year.
You never know what you're going to get every week.
Every week's different. So we appreciate everybody joining. We hope you all have a wonderful week. We'll see you next time.